Former clerk of court for Colleton County, Becky Hill, had 2 notices of hearing from the South Carolina State Ethics Commission filed on her on May 17th. One contains 6 counts, while the other a whopping 74 counts. What does all of this mean for her? Let's get started. This is Legal Updates with Cassidy. Time for Becky Boo to face the music. Welcome. There's a lot of counts to cover, but first I wanted to start with a discussion about the South Carolina State Ethics Commission. What is it exactly? According to their website, it was created in 1975, and it's responsible for financial disclosure, campaign disclosure, and ethical rules of conduct. It issues advisory opinions, conducts investigations, and hearings into complaints. So that being said, when a public official is believed to be in violation, here's the way it's handled. First, a complaint is filed. Anyone who suspects that a violation of the law has been committed by a public official, public member, or public employee may file a complaint with the State Ethics Commission. It goes on to show the complaint form needed with a little instruction on how to do it. This complaint gets forwarded to the respondent along with a general statement explaining that a complaint has been filed against them. The complaints are then reviewed by the executive director for sufficient facts just to make sure this violation has been committed. If sufficient facts are found, a complaint is then referred to the commission staff for investigation. This is where Becky's complaint is right now. Probable cause was found, and an investigation will begin to be heard on December 19th at 9:30 a.m. at the State Ethics Commission hearing room. Looking at the website, we can see that a commission meeting was held on May 16th, which is the day before this was filed. And if we look down in the executive session, it tells us that there was a probable cause agenda held at this meeting. More than likely, it was for Becky Hill. We're going to start with the short one because it's only 2 counts. This one is filed by Arthur L. Simmons III. And the first count is that she provided an individual with whom she was associated confidential information in the form of a photograph of an inmate in the Colleton County Courthouse holding cell to promote the sale of a book. I'm sure we can all guess that this would be a photograph of Alex. We don't know if this was for her book or for someone else's book, but it was a violation of ethics. Count 2, she filmed a promotional segment with the Walterboro Chamber of Commerce president for her book in her office at the Colleton County Courthouse. This is also a violation of ethics. And those are the only 2 addressed in this one. So let's get to the big one. This one was filed by Laura Hayes, which was a former courthouse administration staff. And some of these, be prepared, they are quite shocking if found to be true. Remember, at this point, they're allegations, but also at this point, it was looked into and cause was found for this to proceed to an investigation. So she's not been found guilty, but there has been probable cause to these accusations. Count 1, she knowingly used her official position to direct a bonus to herself in the amount of $2,000 in September of 2021 from, of all things, this literally makes my stomach turn, from child support funds. Let that sink in. Count 2, she knowingly used her position to direct a bonus to herself in the amount of $380.10 in March of 2022, again, from child support funds. But I'm having the same question here that I had for Alex's law firm. We're talking about things that happened in 2021 and 2022. Who was minding the books and didn't notice money from child support funds going to the clerk of court? Why are we hearing this now in May of 2024? I mean, I'm glad we are, but here's the thing. People in charge of money, do your jobs. Count 3. She knowingly used her official position to direct a bonus to herself in the amount of $2,500 in September of 2022, again from child support funds. She's alleged to have done it again in March of 2023 for the same amount, $2,500. Count 5, the same accusation, $2,500 in October of 2023, again from child support funds. Count 6, she used her official position to negotiate the use of the Colleton County Courthouse and an interview in exchange for the promotion of her book, Behind the Doors of Justice. Count 7, she knowingly used her official position to authorize issuance of a check in the amount of $150 to Community Innovations, a business with which she is associated. Count 8, she used her official position to authorize issuance of a check in the amount of $600 to the same company, Community Innovations, a business with which she is associated. Count 9, she provided an individual with whom she was associated confidential information in the form of a photograph of an inmate in the Colleton County Courthouse holding cell to promote the sale of a book. So this is the same charge that was filed in the previous notice. Count 10, she used her official position to direct payment in the amount of $110.50 drawn on check number 6377, where she directed that she be reimbursed for the purchase of items including, but not limited to, meals for clerk of court employees. Count 11 is the same reimbursement, check number 6381. This time the amount is $113.28. And these items were including, but not limited to, food and gifts for clerk of court employees, noted as Easter goodies. Count 12, very similar, different amount, $201.30 on check number 6385, this time for clerk of court employees, noted as Mother's Day gifts. Count 13, same situation. It lists the same check number, but this time tells the amount of $180, so I'm not sure what the discrepancy with this is, but this time it's noted as Mother's Day gift card staff. So this one's a little confusing because you can only have one check per check number, but these are different amounts, all having to do with Mother's Day. So we'll have to see how that gets cleared up later. Count 14, also listed as check number 6385. With this time the amount of $53. So I don't know if these were itemized separately and they were all covered by one big check number 6385. But this amount is $53 and it says Mother's Day gifts, staff courthouse ladies. So yeah, that information will have to be cleared up later. Brings us to count 15, check number 6386. The amount $151.95. This time for paint samples, fruit and snacks, for FC and CP judge, lunch for clerk, CR, LC, and CP clerks, FC wall. Count 16 was check number 6394 in the amount of $60.15. These were meals for herself, clerk of court employees, and court personnel. Now, it doesn't say if this was some kind of petty cash fund or why she felt she had access to this money for these things, whether or not some of these could have been legitimately allowed. As of now, these are accusations to be investigated. Check number 6393 for $244.49. This was gifts for clerk of court employees, noted as birthday gifts and meals for family members. Check number 6404 in the amount of $117.14. These were meals for herself and employees of the solicitor's office. Count 19, check number 5141, $51.80, gifts for the clerk of court employees. Count 20, check number 6426 for $95.26, birthday gifts and supplies, including Smirnoff Ice for clerk of court employees. So now we have alcohol being bought with the courthouse's money. Count 21, number 5149 for $137.93. And this was lunch for herself and others. Count 22, check number 5150 for $306.64. These were meals for herself and employees of the solicitor's office, as well as Valentine's Day gifts for clerk of court employees. Check number 5153 for $91.96 makes up count 23, and it's listed as paint and supplies. Check 6451 for $131.53, meals for herself and clerk of court employees make up count 24. Count 25 is check number 5155 in the amount of $74.88 for the purchase of office supplies. I am really starting to wonder about some of these costs, only because having worked in offices, I know a lot of these things are allowed to be used from accounts like petty cash. So, especially here we have office supplies. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how these all turn out. Count 26 for check number 6460, $100.46, meals for herself and clerk of court employees for birthday lunch with staff. Count 27, 6460, amount of $97.19, meals for clerk of court employees and herself, floral items, and assorted beverages. Count 28 is for check number 6462 and the amount of $115.20, meals for herself and guests. Count 29, all these checks I'm just going to fly through. Count 29, check 6462 and the amount of $69.87 for lunch. Count 30, check number 6474, $131.84, lunch, courtroom staff, and jury, as well as gifts for court personnel. Count 31, check number 6473, $256.57 for snacks, supplies, and meals. Count 32 is check number 6470 for $89.47 for Mother's Day gifts for clerk of court employees. And a lot of these are not for herself. Count 33, check number 6475 for $82.17, snacks, supplies for court personnel. Count 34, check number 5163, $400, gifts for clerk of court employees. Count 35, check number 6483 for $81, meals for herself and court personnel and clerk of court employees. Count 36, check number 6483 for $95.48, meals for herself and court personnel. Count 37, check number 6482, $66.54, gifts for clerk of court employees. Count 38, 6492 in the amount of $82.78, which is meals for herself and clerk of court employees. This seems like a lot of meals paid for by the office, I will say that. In most offices, that's kind of a rare occasion sort of treat. It's kind of like maybe she's buying their love. Count 39, check number 6497 in the amount of $128.46, gifts for clerk of court employees. That's a lot of gift giving, that's for sure. Count 40, check number 6497 in the amount of $105.70, and more gifts for clerk of court employees. These don't have dates. I wish they had dates. Count 41, check number 6503 in the amount of $120.84 for courthouse supplies. Count 42, check number 6510 in the amount of $57.82, meals for herself and a guest. Check number 6513 in the amount of $74.39, meals for herself and vendor is count 43. Count 44, check number 6513, $67.66, office decorations. Count 45, check number 6522, $345.95, meals for herself and clerk of court employees, as well as office decorations. Count 46, check number 6525, $144.48, meals for herself and clerk of court employees. Count 47 is check number 6526, $106.86 for an office cooler and office decorations. Count 48, check number 6529. This is a bigger one of $543.89 for meals, appetizers, soft drinks, Jägermeister, and limoncello provided during a going-away lunch for an employee of the solicitor's office. Count 49, check number 6538 in the amount of $600 for picnic tables. I don't remember seeing picnic tables outside. Maybe they're inside somewhere in the courthouse. Count 50, 6539 is the check number. The amount is $66, and it was for personal meals. Count 51, check number 6546 for $95.69. Food for jurors and court personnel. I honestly don't see how food for jurors is an offense. I mean, that's her job. Unless the money was taken from somewhere it shouldn't have been taken from. Again, we'll know the details better in December after they have the hearing. Count 52, check number 6568, in the amount of $268.04, Valentine's Day gifts to jurors and clerk of court employees. Count 53, check number 6550, in the amount of $58.48, food for court personnel. Count 54 is check number 6568 for $67.82, meals for clerk of court employees. Count 55 is check number 6575 for $51.63, brunch snacks for clerk of court employees. Definitely a perk to work there. You get fed all the time, apparently. Count 56, check number 6575, $62.64, gifts for clerk of court employees. Get a lot of food, you get a lot of gifts. Count 57 is check number 6575. Wait, that's the same number again. This time it's the amount of $200 for office furniture. Count 58 is check number 1103 for $140.40 for meals and more gifts for clerk of court employees and court personnel. Count 59, check number 6575. This is the same check number as previously, but this time says $125 for more personal meals. And then we have the last check repeated again, which is check number 1103 for $76.86, gifts for court personnel and clerk of court employees, as well as dog food, dog bones, and a dog bed. So, I don't know, somebody got a dog and she bought them gifts with courthouse money, maybe? Count 61, check number 1109, $55.97, again, just written as personal meals. Count 62 is check number 1107, the amount of $154.01, personal meals and gifts. Count 63, check number 1108 for $425, and this was personal meals for Lori's 50th birthday. That was some meal, $425. Count 64, check number 1109, $56.50, candy, tea, and lemonade, also for Lori's birthday party. That's almost $500 for Lori's birthday party. Don't know who Lori is. Count 65 is check number 1112 for $77.20, meals for herself and court personnel and employees of the Attorney General's office. Count 66, check number 1112 in the amount of $72.10, gifts for clerk of court employees, noted as Father's Day for guys. Count 67, check number 1119 in the amount of $232.47 for personal meals and court personnel. Count 68, check number 1124 in the amount of $94.96, meals for herself and clerk of court employees. Count 69, check number 1134 in the amount of $118.62, meals for herself and clerk of court employees. Count 70, check number 1136 in the amount of $76.71, gifts for clerk of court employees. Count 71, check number 1136, which is the same check. I really don't understand these. Can you have the same number with different amounts? This is like the third or fourth time. This time it's the amount of $50.87, gifts for clerk of court employees. Lots of meals, lots of gifts. Count 72, check number 1143, $79.66, cleaning supplies. Count 73, check number 1151, $183.25 for more office decorations. Count 74, check number 1153 for $128.71, office decorations and supplies. So that is all 74 counts against her. The majority of these seem like normal office expenses, except it is an abundance of meals and gifts. But those initial ones that were bonuses that she gave herself out of the child support fund, I think those are the absolute most questionable. Goes on to say you have the right to be represented by counsel, which she already is represented by counsel, the right to call and examine witnesses, the right to introduce exhibits, and the right to cross-examine opposing witnesses. Then it tells us that the hearing will be open to the public, as required by the Code of Laws, that before this conference there may be a pre-hearing to allow exchange of witness lists and evidence, marking of exhibits, and disposition of motions or pleadings. If she fails to appear, there will be a default judgment against her. Then it gives her the number to contact if she has any questions. Page 22 is missing from the file, so I'm not sure what it says after that. And the final page is just the certificate of service. So between now and that hearing, as the way things go in this case, a million things could happen between now and then. I will be here to keep you updated as always. This is Cassidy O'Connell saying stay well and stay tuned.